Hello and welcome to day two. This series is showing you guys all of the trades that have been taken during Strategy War Season 7 that just happened in November of 2024. So, if you guys are following along each day, this is going to be day two of what happened during that month of Strategy Wars. I am going to show you guys a pretty clean cut breakout style trade. And, this is pretty much my bread and butter at this point if you've been following me along. Like, this is a pretty clean breakout of consolidation. So, what you'll see is that there was a consolidation zone that happened here on the NASDAQ 100 on the 5 minute time frame. So, I did want to see kind of the consolidation happening on a little bit of a higher time frame than like 1 minute or 3 minute. And this is 5 minute. It was also happening on the 15 minute. I don't have that screenshot, but believe me, it was happening on the 15 minute as well. And you can see it was happening overnight, like during the Tokyo session. That's pretty typical for these US indices to consolidate overnight. And then typically in the morning when they open, they'll have some sort of breakout from that zone. So that is pretty much what happened here. There was a bunch of consolidation over the Tokyo session into London session. And then during the US Open, you'll see that there was a nice breakout. This was a really strong bullish candle that happened. And I mean, the rest is pretty simple and straightforward. The stop loss went beneath the low of the zone that it was trading within. My take profit was using a level to the left that had been previous price action. And I did round it up just a tiny bit to like the 2R area. And that is it. Obviously, this trade soared. So a little hard to see that it just like went on a lot. You can also see up here there, which of course it gets to, but there was a level as you are seeing these green horizontal lines on my screen. It's because they're levels that have been previously marked by me to the left. And I tend to keep them up usually for a week or so at a time when I'm trading, just so that way I don't always have to remark my levels. And it also helps to reassure me when I see the market pulling towards one of those that I did mark a good level. It kind of gives you that extra confirmation of like, okay, I can see that this was a previous level at some point. The market's probably going to pull to that area of price action. And, sure enough, it did do that here. This would have been obviously a really nice reward had I held here. But, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's a little bit sad to see that it could have, should have, would have hit maybe up here had I held. But at the end of the day, I did get my 2R, so it is fine. This was the start of a new account for me early in the month. So this was a November 5th trade that I took. You guys can see this is like roughly about the 2R that I got on the account. And yeah, so that's what that was looking like. And I think I'm just showing you guys in this screenshot. Yeah, I'm just showing you the fourth trades I took and the fifth. And then this is what the account balance is looking like as of the close of day on the fifth. So not too bad. Not too bad for profits as far as like trading for 2 days. It's nice to see that. And yeah, that was it for the fourth and the fifth. I do have a trade for the 6 that I will be going over in the next video, so if you guys are interested in seeing that, but yeah, this was a pretty clean cut trade. There's really not much to say about it. The only thing I will mention is a lot of times I do get asked about the wave rider signal or a happy trail or whatever I might be using. I always go off of the most recent. So even if it doesn't print on the candle that I'm thinking about entering with, as long as the most recent signal is in the direction that my bias is in, then that's to me is still a very usable signal. So this was a bullish signal for Wave Rider, and then I had my breakout candle, so it worked out for me to be able to take this trade. So that would have been fine. And then, until I get, like, an opposite signal or something like that would be the only reason I would maybe get out if it wasn't going. So as you can see here, all of these are bullish wave rider signals, which, like, kind of a hurt piece because you coulda just literally ridden the wave rider indicator all the way up, along the way. But, you know, again, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You can't play that game. I did make my 2R here, but it is nice to see that the indicator in this case, if you were trailing along, would have always been confirming for you that, like, the trend is still on par, and you don't need to worry about, like, a reversal coming just yet. So, anyhow, that is how you can use this too if you're looking to potentially trail along and you're not just setting a set 2R or using a level like I do to the left or something like that. If you were looking to like enter and trail and you don't really know exactly where you want the trade to close out yet, you're still feeling that the bias is in your favor and you want to try to maximize that potential, you could also use things like if you're using an indicator, if you're not using one, then you obviously have to pick a zone or something or a price action area or maybe a bank number. But if you're using an indicator that does have a trend bias to it behind it, you can always use something like just like identifying which direction is the indicator printing in. And as long as it's still printing symbols in your bias direction and hasn't printed one of the opposite, then you can consider that as a way to continue to hold your trade. That's just a little tip there. If you are looking at using something like an additional indicator, like the way that I do, like with a wave rider or a happy trail or a fractal frenzy, something like that. Some questions about what settings I was using with wave rider. At this point in time for day one and day two, I was using the default settings. I haven't changed them at this point. I will let you know when I get to charts where I did change them, so that way you understand. Because the thing that will change is that moving average that we have here with the trend kind of built into it. The area of how close it trails behind the market itself, that may change a bit as I play around with settings. But at this point for day one and day two, I was still using default settings. I hadn't changed them yet. But if I do change them, I will definitely let you know in those videos what I did to get those the indicator to print the way it did or to get the moving average to follow along or whatever it is that I was thinking at that time. But for now, we're at default. All right, you guys, that is it for day two, and I will see you tomorrow for day three.